When facing a situation with someone wherein you are experiencing in that moment a conflict situation. Now, the tendency that we all have is to immediately, when we experience a conflict situation, to go into a defense mode to attempt or try and protect our stance and our position. In essence, a conflict situation or experience is a fighting platform between egos. What we do within a conflict situation is, what you'll notice within that moment or within that experience, that there is one point that you are trying to or attempting to validate or justify or fight for within yourself. And you're only in that moment seeing one point of view. And then within that one point of view, you will try and attempt to hold that one point inside your mind, and you will fight and attack and defend accordingly to save and protect that one point within yourself, that one point that you're attempting or trying to fight for or defend within that moment or that situation that you're facing with another is equal to and one with your ego. That is an example of a experience wherein one go into a complete mind position in that moment, because you are in essence being possessed by one point within your mind that you're trying to protect and defend, like one position, and you are doing everything in your power in that moment in relation to your defense and attack tactics of your mind consciousness system to ensure that your ego, your point of view as your position in that moment remain intact. So what would be interesting in terms of whenever you find yourself in a conflict situation and you feel physically this energy building up inside you and your voice is becoming louder and you have this one point inside you that keeps on coming up, and this whole conflict situation is resolving or revolving around only that one point, and it's like your whole physical body change and transform into an actual attack mode where you will almost sit slightly forward with your whole physical body. Your physical body will become hard, your reactions will become more, and your eyes will actually start becoming bigger. And it's like you're physically holding this one point inside you, and you become so possessed by this one point that it's like this one point that starts speaking and just throwing and exerting attack and defense tactics of the mind consciousness system to make sure that this one point that you're physically holding and possessed by within the mind consciousness system win this fight or this conflict situation that's busy happening, that you can take in your position as the winner within the fight or the conflict situation where your ego in essence then win, because you have successfully fought for and defended your stance, your position in relation to the point that the two of you or the three of you or whoever was involved were fighting over or were having conflict over. So that's just a practical physical illustration example of what mind possession is in relation to fighting for and defending one point within your mind consciousness system within the context of a conflict situation. Now, when you realize that your acceptance and allowance of being possessed by this one point where you're actually in manifested ego to defend and protect this one point in relation to your superior stance and position within your mind consciousness system, your world and your reality, where it already gets to a point where you're already physically changing and adapting yourself to go into like an actual attack and defense mode, to stand as this one point by which you are possessed. Actual strength in that moment, when you see that, when it has already gone too far and in essence already too late, is to, while you're actually already in that, to stop yourself. You can physically in that moment like stop yourself inside yourself. You take a breath, a deep breath. You literally, you breathe. You can almost lift your arms up and you breathe out and just let your reaction and your physical body that has gone into that physical mind possession mode go and release with your out breath. And you just breathe and you stop, and you'll notice as you're breathing your body will start relaxing more. You almost feel a slight bit lightheaded because you've gone into a total energetic possession. And if or when in that moment you feel that you are not able to continue speaking or discussing whatever the point was that resulted into a conflict situation of actual fighting, yelling, screaming and shouting, you can accordingly say to the person, listen, I realize and see that I've gone into an absolute energetic mind state. Whatever I'm going to say or speak or do in this moment is not self-honest. It's not going to be in any form of support for myself or you. I suggest give me a moment so that I can relook and have a look at this whole experience, so that I can rather honor me and you in speaking about this and discussing this point in an equal manner, openly, where it does not result to unnecessary yelling and screaming and shouting, to not compromise me or you through saying things or doing things that we'll later regret or feel ashamed of. So please give me a moment. I would like to have a look at who I am in relation to this point, what's happened, why I'm reacting, so that I can assist and support myself to not go into reaction mode or fighting mode or defense mode. I'd like to discuss this to a point where we can get to a equal solution in support of us both equally. Now, it's not necessary also to say the whole or speak the entire statement that I've just suggested. The statement is just an example for you to understand why it is that you would, for example, in that moment say, please give me a moment. I'd like to discuss this more equally, openly, in a manner that is supportive and not destructive. And you can for yourself decide in that moment how you want to handle the situation. But when you realize it's gotten to that point where it's too late, too far, stop yourself, breathe. If you feel that you can't in that moment immediately walk through the point and just allow and accept yourself to discuss it in an equal supportive manner, then excuse yourself for that moment and then return after you have assessed and looked at the point that you have gone into possession more specifically and more in detail, either through writing or self-forgiveness or flogging, and then returning to the point to resolve it and make sure that both parties are at an equal supportive basis and understanding in relation to the point. Then of course it's not necessary for the situation to go to a point where it's gone too far or it's been too late. You are able to, and more than capable of, when you are already feeling reactions coming up and thoughts coming up and energies just rising and your physical body already changing, to in that moment stop yourself before it gets out of hand and direct you in that moment to breathe and stop and make sure that you speak constantly, consistently, and are stable here in the physical. If the reactions just continue and continue and continue, no matter what you do, excuse yourself. Do not continue participating in energy or mind to accept and allow yourself to become possessed, where it can lead to consequential, regrettable, and shameful outflows that is not necessary. It's time to assist and support yourself to actually move yourself in the physical and to start taking responsibility for what you're accepting and allowing within yourself. Guys, you can have such a stable reality and environment and relationship with beings in your world and your environment through simply assisting and supporting yourself to speak in and as breath and remain stable here, and not accept and allow yourself to go into reactions and physical mind possessions. Thank you.